This is Pam Flap. This is Pam Flap reporting. Pam Flap coming to you with the hard-hitting news. My name is Pam Flap, and I'm an independent journalist in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
This is Pam Flap reporting.
We are home to the Edmonton Oilers, who sometimes almost win that shiny goblet thingy. We're also home to the world's second largest mall. There even used to be dolphins inside the mall until we figured out that dolphins don't want to live in a mall. And we experience almost 10 months of winter every year. But during those other 2 months, my fellow hockey-playing hobbitses come out of their hibernation to gather outdoors and enjoy drag entertainment of the lip-syncing and dancing variety. Why not? It's finally nice out. But lately there's been a dark cloud gathering over our city. A gray cloud. Not really gray, sort of a brown-blue cloud, and under it, some of our gentlefolk have been spotted in their finest sweatpants, making homemade signs. And their tiny timbits have been seen high-sticking with no referee in sight. And just like when my cousin, who brings a new girlfriend at Christmas every year, and every year Uncle Jeremy refuses to learn her name and instead just refers to her as that elf on the shelf, there's mixed feelings at the dinner table. People choose sides. Maybe that explains why this demonstration that started as a way to protest sexual orientation and gender inclusion curriculum in schools quickly became a sort of bowling league of beliefs.
Children are our future.
They are.
All of our.
Whitney Houston said that. Some wanted freedom. Some wanted to let us know that God created only 2 genders. Some folks wanted to show off their Canada flags, and some wanted to show how many flags they could hold at one time. And some were politely asking the Prime Minister of Canada to go somewhere, although where they were hoping he'd end up wasn't clear. And last but not least were the Unionists and the Communists, who had very nice pamphlets. But is this the whole story? Not by a long shot.
Those kids that are out there, that are on this this LGBT, it doesn't make sense, because it does, actually. They were not loved enough.
Everybody say love.
Love. We are afraid because they are angry people.
Is the vest lady right? Are queer folk lip-syncing to Lady Gaga because they didn't get enough hugs? Are they angry people? Is her reflective vest a warning? Are drag queens dangerous?
They have more music.
It's a question that will take me into queer spaces, secret layers, and into cafes for snacks.
Chicken. I need some chicken, and I need some chicken.
Into the hallowed halls of our public libraries, to the very steps of the Alberta legislature, to the ears of the voice of reason, and to the bended knee of Madam Justice the Truth. My name is Pam Flap, and this is Hey, Pansy. Pansy. Is it a flower? A derogatory term for someone who is gay? Or is it just a French word Anglophones couldn't pronounce for so long they just gave up? When Pam Flap was growing up, it was a word that young men shouted when they dared other young men to do something dumb and dangerous. Hey, You don't want to wear ice skates and hold on to the back of a Cutlass sedan and let your best friend drive? Pansy. But if my homophobic classmates weren't the first to deflect their shame onto others as a tactic to avoid their own complicated feelings regarding their own sexuality, then who was? Who did it first? Just where was the first closet?
Yeah, tell me about Rome.
In Greece and the Middle East, a caste system, and it was a male on, like a male on adolescent education system, pederasty. And a lot of people aren't familiar with this word.
I don't know this word. Can you define it?
Pederasty is a man on an adolescent.
Like on top of?
It's an education system.
Oh, an education system.
Yeah,
not
pederasty.
like actually.
And that's what I'm saying. We're not familiar with it, and we need to
Yes.
go making a lot of, decisions, because it's fascist tyranny, and that's what Rome and Greece were all about.
Didn't the Greeks invent democracy? This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. That's a quote from Plato, who I wish was here right now to help her, wrangle her doggies, and maybe take her hat shopping. But nonetheless, one thing is crystal clear. In order to understand the present, we must look to the past, which is before now. History teaches us things, unless we ignore history, in which case, it teaches us much less. I decided to pay a visit to one of Edmonton's most celebrated drag artists, Darren Hagen, in his drag lair, or one might say it's the rented garage where his theater company, Guys in Disguise, keeps their props and costumes. It's here that I learn more about an important moment in drag history, called the Pansy craze. Picture the 1930s, New York City. Alcohol is a no-no, but drag performance is a yes.
When Prohibition came in and liquor was made illegal or became very hard to get unless it was in the black market, the speakeasies and the jazz clubs and the Pansy bars and the underground gay clubs were the places where people could actually still get liquor. And so suddenly you had this mix of people. The only thing they had in common was the desire to party, right? They were rich, they were poor, they were white, they were black, they were gay, they were straight, they were gender presenting, they were and everything in between. But they had one thing in common, which is they wanted to have fun and they wanted to drink. And so suddenly, Pansy bars and the Pansy craze was the top of the line entertainment in New York for a few years. At the end of the Prohibition, when people finally realized we're not going to be able to stop people from drinking, this is a failed experiment. There's all this crime and people are still getting alcohol and oh my God, the Pansies are on the rise. So they shut down Prohibition and started busting all the bars that allowed homosexuals and queer people and drag characters to actually thrive. And they started punishing them and taking away their liquor licenses. And that became the beginning of the cold spell, which lasted all the way to Stonewall. The only bars that would allow queer people and pansies to thrive and to mix and mingle were the ones that were paying off the mafia and where the cops were looking the other way or even in on it.
But that was the United States. We wouldn't put someone in jail just because they were in drag. We're Canadians. We're nice, right?
In those early years that we were performing, it was illegal for us to do drag.
Miss Flashback 9 and Entertainer of the Year 5, Gloria Hall!
We could get arrested for going out dressed as a woman on the street, and it was a law. You could not be dressed as a female. And so people were charged, and the police did that quite often. So we had to be very cautious about what we wore. We had to have at least 2 articles of male clothing on us. So quite often we would stuff socks down our bra and have on men's underwear. And that it was ruled by the courts that was acceptable. It did not contravene the bylaw. So
Arrested? I needed to know more.
Just never mind. You just fucking sit there and wait and see.
I asked resident wig expert and hairstylist Michael Berard to take me to where it all began. The place where wigs and hair products were just the tip of the iceberg.
Shut up, it's about to be a surprise!
Okay, this used to be Flashback back in the day. I used to come here. I was underage the first time I came here. And the entrance to Flashback was over there, because it was an old warehouse building. And you could go upstairs, and it was kind of the secret, club to go to. There was no sign. There was no nothing. You literally had to know that it was here. It just danced till like 3, 4 in the morning. It was really the place to go to feel comfortable when you were gay.
And while Michael Berard admitted to doing the Charleston in this underground speakeasy, I knew the walls of Flashback had more secrets to spill. I had heard rumors involving a turkey baster.
The turkey baster Foxy Lady run.
The Foxy Lady disco dancing rhinestone turkey baster relay squeeze-a-snack race.
The Foxy Lady was this lounge right next door, the alley between Flashback and the building next door. In that building was the Foxy Lady Lounge. It was not a very high-class place.
It was a less than posh place.
And I would get dressed up to host them on a Sunday afternoon.
All the contestants would be together. They would get a cracker, and then you get the squeeze-a-snack. I don't even know if they make it anymore, but it looked like a big sausage with a squishy thing in the middle, and you squeeze the snack onto the cracker, and then you ran around the block. And so I think it was 5. You did 5 crackers. And whoever did, and without losing their crackers, won.
So it turns out, the original drag race was not a lip sync for your life. It was a good old-fashioned Canadian foot race. All this talk of squeezable cheese made Pam Flap hungry. It was time to hit the Loco Coco Rico.
Chicken. I need some chicken, and I need some chicken. Does Barbara Walters order chicken, fried chicken? Or would she have the dumplings? What would Barbara do?
I still couldn't tell if drag queens were dangerous, but it was clear that Edmonton's own Pansy craze was far from over.
Christiane Amanpour. What would she order? Christiane, tell me, what should I get?
My quest for chicken was like my quest for the truth. Drag is this. And this. And holy cow. And what the... Somebody call my mother. It's... wow. But what happens when you take drag and put it here?
Lately, we've seen these amazing events happening at the libraries where drag queens have been going in and doing a drag queen story time for the kids. And all these kids see is this over-the-top costume character reading a story they love, and they're having a great time.
Not all drag is for everyone. Not all drag is family-friendly, but there are family-friendly events.
There's our precious daughter. The queen said to the king, they're the perfect pair.
Like, not all drag is for everyone, but there is drag flair.
And I never had specifically, like for myself, like a role model or someone to look up to at an early age to say it was okay to be gay, to be a drag queen, to be, you know, whatever I wanted to be. So that's why I think it's important to be here today, to show the kids that, you know, there is someone that you can look up to and you can be who you want to be.
San Francisco author Michelle T. is credited with inventing drag queen storytime in 2015. And libraries across the world have held these inclusive public events ever since.
Bad puppy. They'll come to say to us. Oh, it is.
After this, I think it's just important that he sees this as something that's normal, it's accepted, it's not anything to be ashamed of. And if I just keep taking him to events like this, it's just going to be a part of life.
Drag Queen Story Hour is really just people reading books to kids. There's no underlying mission. It is nothing more than having someone come in, read books to children, and make them feel welcome and included.
I mean, I think a lot of folks are really misled about what's happening. So I've been like reading and fuming about a lot of the signs. So it'll say like, you know, no explicit material in school. So I think there's a lot of misinformation about what's actually happening. You know, I think there's a lot of concern around queer and trans identity that is not founded in people's lived experience. So really trying to enforce old ideas of who people should be and who they should love and how they should live their lives, which we know is harmful to people. Drag is like a playful way of thinking about gender and has a really important history in radical movements. And, you know, a lot of concern is around children going to drag, and we would definitely take our kid to a drag show.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that's important to be in public spaces, and one reason is because it is this kind of playful embodiment of gender, right? How do we embody gender? How do we live gender? It gives people an image of kind of playing with it and thinking about it. I also think it's actually a great entry point for kids because it's like so over the top and fun and performative. So I think it provides like also an easy entry point into people thinking about gender in a playful way.
During the pandemic, the Edmonton Public Library invented creative ways to ensure children's programming was still accessible to all families.
Well, hi, tiny humans. It's me, Claudia Hardout, and it's story time.
And when Drag Queen Storytime went back to being an in-person event, the attendees weren't just parents and children. Anti-gay, anti-drag protesters showed up at libraries across the province, sometimes resulting in police intervention. Anti-gay protesters made it clear that they did not want drag queens and children to intermingle, or chat, or wear capes together, or don rainbow socks.
I wasn't ready for this.
And the story thing, that was also a no.
No jumping on the sofa.
Or perhaps the protesters said, thank you, but no.
As far as drag people around kids, there's the line. It's like, draw the line.
6 and 7 tutus.
Kids are innocent. Let's keep the innocence.
6 tutus and 7 tutus. We need more tutus.
I love drag story time, and I love seeing the joy in kids' faces when they have a drag queen reading to them. And it's all about literacy too. Maybe that's a teacher in me, but I love it.
It could be about literacy, about inclusion, about diversity, about being different.
All the things.
Things that we might want to teach our kids.
You know what? I think those are pretty awesome values that should be taught in schools, absolutely.
Not only did I get an exclusive interview with MLA Janice Irwin, I was able to track down Darren Hagen for a little more insight into why drag queens just might be dangerous. Pam Flap also speaks to Trevor Schmidt and Jason Hardwick, seconds after their sold-out performance of Microwave Coven at the Edmonton Fringe. That's right. I snuck into the basement of the Varscona because they left the back door unlocked.
There is nothing that is dangerous about someone putting on a fancy dress with a big plastic hair and reading stories to children. The only danger that I could see is that these children will learn how to be inclusive, and we are letting them know that they can be different.
A drag queen reading a story to kids, there's no indoctrination or grooming of any kind. They're reading a story.
If you were going to read a story to a child, what would you read?
I once read a book called The Enchanted Castle that I actually looked up as an adult, and it was one of those books that I pulled out of the library as a kid like 8 times in a row. I could not read it enough. I would read that book to anyone because it was all about transformation and a ring that made you invisible or magic, or you never knew what it was going to do, but it would always do something fantastic to you that would forward the plot. I always need things that will forward the plot. So I would read that story.
There's a beautifully illustrated version of the Kama Sutra.
Hetero, the word. Okay, you have homo, which means same, and you have hetero, which means different.
Hetero means different.
So
you're different. So I'm different. No, hetero means different?
I didn't say there. You see, you're jumping. You're not listening. Homo is the same. Homo. So same would mean homo. Homosexual would mean the same sex. That's the attraction. So hetero is different sex.
So I'm different.
No, you're not different. You're a woman who's attracted to a man, which is different from you.
Yes, it is different.
Right. If we want to get to the root of the matter.
I do. I really do.
Do you?
Yes, I really do.
Martin Luther. People don't understand. Democracy is an outgrowth of Martin Luther, and that's not Dr. Martin Luther. That is Martin.
So not Martin Luther King.
No, and this is because we're
not talking about Dr. Martin.
We're ill-informed. Martin.
You're
Luther,
talking about Martin Luther.
Martin Luther,
religious
revolutionary,
the historical Christian.
Yes, German.
You know, it's just a deeply conservative, religious group of people that are using, things from the Bible to lambaste our community. And for decades, they've thrown this, Leviticus. If a man lies with a man like a woman, they are an abomination. I mean, holy moly. In that same Leviticus, adulterers should be stoned. Women who are unfaithful should be stoned. Rebellious sons should be stoned. I mean, they forget all those.
When the old books of the Bible, there's this rule that people are not supposed to put on the clothes of a different sex. But the fact that there's a rule there means that people are doing it.
Rules. Ideas about right and wrong. The Greeks invented democracy, but they also invented ostracism. Getting kicked out without any kind of trial. We'll do almost anything to feel like we belong somewhere, and almost anything to avoid the alternative. It's not ancient Greece, but everyone knows, if you're different, you run the risk of being kicked out. For good. And there's no better way to feel like you belong to a group than to volunteer. This bénévole helped me staple my anti-gay, anti-government, anti-Soji 123 information sheets together. The result? The beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I just love it when I get the chance to staple it all. There's something nice about stapling, isn't there? Oh my gosh, I just love stapling. I just love it when things are organized. Oh, I did it wrong. There she goes. There she goes. And I think, but she could sure smash other things. I haven't even had anything to drink this morning.
So you'd be fun to party with later,
right? Let's get together. Let's get this.
I love you.
Let's do it. Have some Alberta whiskey.
Oh, I had some good stuff called Birdie.
What was
It's
it?
made out of Vegreville or something. It's called Birdie.
Birdie.
It's better than, what is it, fire water? I don't know, but it's really spicy.
Better than, okay.
Spicy.
Oh, okay, I gotta check it out.
From a farmer's market, Birdie.
Okay, Birdie, I'm gonna get this one. And we're at a party.
Pam Flap did what anyone would do when offered a trip to Vegreville. Pam Flap went. It's hard to imagine my new bestie being a harbinger of hate. But there's a disconnect somewhere. The journalist in me wants to understand. Where is the line between just being a nice gal who staples anti-gay pamphlets together and admitting that we are contributing to a wider culture that allows gender-based violence to occur? Most of us are nice. And most of us just want the same thing. To go to Vegreville to party. It was time to head back to the protest. I got there just in time to hear the speech of the organizer, Benita Peterson, who hails from Westlock, Alberta. Westlock is about an hour away from Edmonton. It's easy to find. Just turn left at the West End Costco near the casino, then drive straight till you lose the will to live. Benita ran for city council in Westlock in 2024, but didn't win. According to her social media, she's a karaoke hostess, entertainer, and professional DJ.
The backstage? Is the van the backstage?
It's triple X rated. And they consider this an educational tool for young people and children. How many of you agree this is unacceptable? And so I have a request of all who work in law enforcement, whatever entity you work with, is that you start holding the people accountable who have been doing unacceptable things.
Benita may be very disappointed to learn that children don't just have these. They have these now. And in the time it takes these protesters to scour the local library shelves for words to redact, these tiny content creators will have already had a personal training session, analyzed their YouTube stats with their marketing team in Oslo, gotten a pedicure, a piano lesson, and said yes to a celebrity wedding invite in a place that Pam Flap will never see, because those are private islands and they have names like Dolphin Cove.
There was a book that you had to be in grade 5 to check out. It was called Love, Sex, and Growing Up. The cover was this color, which is weirdly pornish, but it was actually a very age-appropriate introduction to the ideas that we're talking about. And I'll never forget, I was in grade 5, so I waited in line, I put my name on the list, I got to bring it home, and I wanted to read it. And of course, I grew up in a trailer, so it was hard to hide stuff in a trailer. I didn't want my mom to see I had this book, so I was going out to read it in the bush, right behind the house. And Mom said, yeah. And then Mom said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just going out." And she said, "What are you holding behind your back?" And she had seen it. I was like holding this big book behind my back. So I showed it to her and I was terrified that she was going to say like, "You can't read that." And she just went, "If you have any questions, you come to me afterwards." That's all she said. That was my sex education. And it was perfect because she let me learn from a reputable source, some real lessons and, you know.
When you could have elective sex education in grade 6, my parents elected for me not to have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that was general sex education for
not even queer sex.
Grade 6 students. And I firmly believe that had a real influence on my life and my understanding of sex and sexuality. And I think that it took many years, and sometimes it feels like it's still taking many years to get beyond that and figure out what I think is right. I don't want to get too serious, but I do think that ignorance is not bliss. No. Ignorance is ignorance. And then you can't live your life properly because you don't have the proper tools in your toolbox to move forward as an adult.
Both my older brothers were very straight, very sports, very rugged guys. And then this little guy happened, and he wasn't sports. He wanted to dance. He wanted to read and draw and play dress up and play with dolls. So it was very different for my parents. So they did take me to therapy, but the therapist basically said, your son is gay. You have to, you have to adjust, not him. And they did, which was, at that time, and my parents being very small town people, not educated, they really did me justice, which is why I'm so devoted to my mom today. She really made sure I was safe to grow up being gay, in this neighborhood, in this world. And I will always appreciate her for that. Always.
Especially when playing with gender, I find myself very inspired by my dad and my grandpa, and as a drag king, bringing that kind of masculine energy. And maybe my dad wouldn't ever dance or do any of the kind of fun, more nasty drag king stuff we do. But the first time I painted a beard on, I tried to make it look like my dad's beard.
Dad and I had a complicated relationship. I was kicked out when I was very young. We hadn't spoken, and probably for about 40 years, and he died. So there's no closure there. He never got to know who I was or who I am and the kind of person that I'd become, the kind of man / girl, woman, whatever. So that, I'm a little sad about that, but I mean, it's just the way it was. He just could not, I was disowned. I did not exist.
How old were you?
12 or 13, I think, when I left the house, left home.
It's hard to imagine coming from a small town to Edmonton at the age of 12 or 13, alone. Finding your way during the day is one thing. But the city looks different at night.
I just let everyone share it. When there's a RuPaul guest, so this is their room. They can put their stuff in and stuff. There's a shot of me there, and there's me there. There's my daughter, Pepper, and she was on Call Me Mother. And there's me in the thing. There's a flashback ad from 100 years ago.
Pam Flap reporting. Good morning.
You want to see them stand up for parents' story for education. Your parents, you parents know your children are best.
Right? But there's also, if you take hetero into Wiktionary, because we all need to grow a brain.
A Wiktionary.
Wiktionary.
Wiktionary is
Wiktionary online. And it will show you how the language changes. So I'm going to give you a pearl of wisdom. He is also HEI, hetero. And when you get into HEI, now we have a promise. Now we have a name. It's called, to be called, hetero, to be called, to be promised, representation. I'm talking, there's language was not like what it is right this moment.
No.
It went through English.
It was old.
Germanic.
It was really old before.
That's right. It was ugga probably at one point, Hetero. There's my lesson right there. Hetero. This should have a line here. Oh, so it's family.
Family. It is. It's about family.
Well,
at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's high five heaven. It's just self-explanatory. easy slogan that can catch on anything.
Can I give you a hug?
Sure. Right?
I love it.
No cats.
Well, parents, you guys know your children are best. On display at a school in Edmonton where there's grade 3 students, grade 4 students on the bulletin board. This is the gender unicorn. It's the gender unicorn. And so one of the things we're doing today is pass some petitions. There are 4 of them.
A lot of people in my family are like that, where I'm like, you're a nice person. Why do you feel like that? Like, why do you feel that way? Why do you hate people? You don't even know those people.
The gender unicorn. This is on display at least one school in Edmonton.
But you do get that a lot, where you're like, oh, you're like a nice, well-spoken person.
Oh, Trudeau must go. That's partly because Trudeau is one of the most progressive pushers of crime programming.
Oh, you hate gay people.
Kids are being exposed to this. This is not acceptable.
You're not helping yourself. You're not building community because you're like casting people out. But then you want to go do like fun charity work at the soup kitchen. It's just like weird. And people are weird.
The federal funding for this is insane. And it's time to put a stop to it.
Like, why do you feel that way? Why do you hate people? You don't even know those people. You can always do better. You're capable of being a nice person.
My mentor, Bob Woodward, says that everyone has their own version of the truth, but there are facts. What he forgot to mention is how many versions of the truth I'd have to sit through.
I can see your plan for a long time.
A lot of what's happening now is like neo-fascism and neo-Nazis, and it's just a lot of what we saw in the 1940s just happening again. History is repeating itself, or at least rhyming really hard. And I think a lot of people just want things to be okay. It's really hard to say, hey, this thing you're doing is destabilizing, because they're just saying, this is just what's going to make things okay. That's not what I'm doing. I don't want that. I want things to be okay. And you have to show them, hey, these are the steps that have happened to make things go crazy. This is how you fall into fascism. You are at the top of the slide, and at the bottom of the slide, in the sand, that's fascism. You have to show them the full slide, because they're just seeing the top of the slide and the idea of being okay.
This is a cat. This is a black cat. Therefore, all cats are black. Now, even Pam Flap knows the perils of falling into a syllogistic pothole, but here in Edmonton, we don't care. We drive trucks. So this is a black cat. This is a black cat. The argument for homophobia sits within a weak premise. But most citizens don't want to explain the undistributed middle of a syllogistic fallacy to their neo-Nazi neighbor. Why bother? It's time for second breakfast. Yet, Aristotle's theory of logic comes with a warning. Lies don't dismantle the truth half as fast as righteousness does. And when folks claim that they are protecting their children, the details don't matter. All cats are black.
Soji 123. What does it mean to you?
Oh gosh, well, whatever you do, don't ask them. I mean, Soji doesn't even really exist as a concept in Alberta schools. I worked in curriculum for a long time and I was a teacher as well. In our curriculum for decades and decades have been conversations around inclusion, around belonging, around creating safe and welcoming spaces for all students. So, you know, they just like to co-opt these phrases and weaponize them against us, but I'm not going to take it.
SOGI stands for Sexual Orientation and Gender Inclusion. And the 123 part? 1 stands for Policies and Procedures in Schools, or ideas about how to do stuff. Number 2 refers to the school environment, how to make school a nice place to learn. And number 3, teaching resources, which Pam Flap downloaded. You know, printable 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper with words on them. You know, you get to choose the grade you teach as well as the lesson that you'd like to use. Drop-down menus for all. In the end, SOGI 123 is not a curriculum shift. It's a resource, lesson plans and activities to help teachers find age-appropriate ways to talk about making school a place where everyone feels welcome.
School is that weird area where it's supposed to be, at that age, your safe space. At home isn't always your safe space. Your parents don't always understand you. School is where you go to be with your friends and to be in this, around people that you love and you trust. And to take away that opportunity for people to be able to use their pronouns, their authentic self, and present themselves that way is going to lead to a drastic increase in suicides, attempted suicides, self-harm. It's not depression. It's not
20 steps backwards.
It is 20 steps backwards. They think they're being that they're trying to increase safety for youth and stuff like that, but they're not. It's actually the polar opposite of that. It's going to do more harm than it's going to do good. It might make them feel better about themselves that they're protecting parents' rights, but it's doing absolutely nothing for the kids.
It's nothing for the kids. It's not protecting the kids.
At all. It makes no sense to me because when I was in school, I had classmates that went by their middle names versus their first names. And all they had to do is tell the school, like, oh, I go by my middle name, not my first name. They're like, okay, flip, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem.
So why can't you just do the same?
Like, they didn't need parental consent for that. The kid was just like, this is the name I use. I'm like, okay. And it makes no sense to me that now they're policing it specifically for trans youth.
Tanner was right. There was more to this story than meets the eye. It was time to ask the government some tough questions. Pam Flap knocked, but no one answered the front door. The Alberta legislature is the home of Madam Justice the Truth and the voice of reason. Little did I know, they were trying to skip town.
She's coming! She's coming! Voice of reason, hurry! I'm coming!
Oh, good. Madam Justice, the truth, the voice of reason, finally. Sorry, I catch my breath. I was wondering if I could interview you.
No comment.
My name is Pam Flap. I just have a few questions.
No comment. No.
You have suitcases. Where are you going?
Out of here. We're leaving. Taxi! Come on, voice of reason!
What does it mean
to hear that homophobic language all the time?
So to hear it all the time, it's interesting is when you see me at work, I'm a very different person. I have to put on this like complete mask when I'm at home, more so than when I have to drag when I'm wearing makeup and all that jazz. But it literally picks away at you. Like, it may be like one small comment may not bug me, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like taking a marble block and chipping away at it slowly over time. Right? Eventually, you're going to lose all of that marble and be left with just crumbles of rock. Yeah. Right? And right now, I'm able to grit my teeth and bear with it every single day. But I've noticed, especially over the last 2 years, as I've gotten further into my career, that it's getting harder and harder every single day to keep my mouth shut and to just bear with it. I've in more cases now, I'm still not comfortable enough to come out at work as to who I am. But I've made it a little bit more clear with my coworkers that, like, you can't make these comments in front of me. I'm not okay with it. And if I hear them, like, I will say something at this point. Even though there's a few people I can do that with, my bosses, not a chance. If I try to call them out for that kind of stuff, I'm out the door. I will lose my job. Yeah. And they'll just call it a layoff, like there's not enough work or whatever. Like, so there's no way for me to fight it. But it's what's really forcing me to, like, try and advance myself farther and farther in my career so I can get to a position.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
A light at the end of the tunnel where I can get to a position where I'm high enough in the company that I can say, you can no longer let me go because of who I am, and let me now start to make a difference in this company. Let me start to actually enforce. We have anti-harassment policies. It's an entire rule around anti-harassment, but nobody will ever bat an eye at homophobic or transphobic comments.
Yeah.
They just don't.
They don't. Because it's the norm.
Growing up, I mean, coming out to my friends in grade 12 was terrifying because I didn't know which of them I would keep as friends after that. I had been pretty much punished for being, non-traditionally male my whole life in school and all those different places. Flashback was sort of a safe refuge away from all that homophobia. But ultimately, you don't live in a gay bar. You have to go back out into the city. You have to walk home. You have to live in that world.
I was gay bashed. I left the Roost, which was a gay bar, and I was by myself. And I'm not a big person. I'm 5'8", and at the time I weighed like maybe 140, so very slight. But I left the bar like I normally do, and I always walked home, and I was always safe. I was always fine. But this particular time, I noticed a truck was following me, and they literally came up and came around, and then I crossed the street, and then they zoomed around. And when I came up to an alley, they pulled up in front, and it was literally 5 very big guys. They pulled me in the alley and pretty much punched, kicked, did whatever they could. Calling me fag, queer, gay, girl, sissy, all these names that I heard while they were, punching and kicking me. Which of course made me hate those names. It made me, even to this day, I have a problem with the word queer. Anyway, I ended up in the hospital. I had broken ribs. I had to replace a couple of teeth. I had to get stitches. It made me hate myself. Then I did seek out therapy, and that really helped a lot. To just be able to talk about it in a safe place and to be able to be hurt. Things would set me off, and I'd, have a meltdown, start crying, or I couldn't be in crowds. It took a very long time to be able to just be me again.
They've made it law that if a kid wants to use a different pronoun in school, they will have to fill out a form and their parents will know. Why are they not making all the kids fill out the forms?
Because we live in a homophobic world. Because we live in a transphobic world. Because the rules are different for queer people. They just are.
So yes, there are lots of things happening that are really scary. And they echo things that have happened historically. We also know historically that those of us who resist have a lot of power. Audre Lorde wrote a really interesting and famous essay that's talking about the master's tools. And she says in there this sentence that gets quoted everywhere, which is that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. And so what that means is that if we fight them in the same way that they fight us, if we use the same tools, if we use the tools of canceling, if we use the tools of trying to erase their ideas, the way they're trying to shut us down, the way they're trying to cancel us, the way they're trying to keep us silent, if we do that same thing, we will never win. We have to keep on being creative because we can't use those tools. If we do, we lose.
This is Pam Flap. This is Pam Flap reporting.
We played a biker bar in Thunder Bay as well. That was a lot of fun. So the performers come out and they get up on stage, they do their first number, and we're looking around the room, and all the gays and friends are on this side, and this side is all bikers. Oh, it's like, oh. So the lead of the group, Jamie Durrett, who had a big mouth and shied from nothing, he started doing his first intro or talking and stuff like that, and they started heckling from the biker table, and so he took him on, and they were going at it, and I could see the queens were standing at the door, and they had their shoes off, and I'd taken my spotlight, big spotlight, I'd loosened the bolts on it, because I could lift it up and go if I had to, and all of a sudden, you hear this big on the table, and the guy at the end of the table, who was obviously the leader, said, "Sit down and enjoy the show."
Do you feel that drag queens are dangerous?
No.
Are drag queens dangerous?
Sorry. It depends on the situation, I suppose.
I watched Lulu beat up 4 of them single-handedly in drag. So watch it, boys.
Drag queens are fabulous. Absolutely not dangerous. Everybody should get to know and love a drag queen.
Are drag kings dangerous?
Sorry. No. God, no.
Sure, if you bring your girlfriend around.
It's really easy right now at this point in time to feel like we're kind of standing on the cusp of a descent back into some very scary times, and we've seen how that's played out. And I think what's important to remember in that is that queer people have always found a way to be themselves and have always found ways to love and perform and find community and family with each other. It's kind of impossible to kill us. Like, we keep fighting the good fight, and we'll do it with style.
Courage is knowing what not to fear. That's another quote by Plato. Now, Pam Flap can't interview Plato, But I think what he meant is we ought to have enough courage to see a little bit of ourselves in everyone we meet. And I think he'd say that that's not something that we really need to be afraid of.
Pam Flap reporting. Good morning.
You can't expect everyone to be open and understanding and wonderful, until they see a show. And then as soon as they see a show, they're like, wow, what is what? So that I won many people over just by doing a show, just by being who I am.
We gotta raise the roof for my mama. Hitting this stage is the legend herself, Twiggy.
There's nothing like the thrill of a new appliance. It's like looking into the future.
Pam Flap reporting. My name is Pam Flap. Pam Flap. Mr. Flap. Flappy Pam Flap. Flappy Pam. It's like maybe my handle on X.